Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I saw something come through my feed earlier this morning by a coach a lot of you guys know, Paul Carter. He's an interesting guy, but he said something kind of profound, as Paul often does. That's what I enjoy about Paul as a writer. I disagree with about a third of what Paul says, to be honest, but what I like about the guy is that he has a profound way of stating the obvious sometimes in a way that's hilarious, because he just hits the nail on the head with stuff that people have all these big problems they can't figure out what to deal with, and he'll make a single profound statement that knocks you flat and makes you go, this dude's absolutely fucking right. I've even seen it doing with clean eaters and stuff like that, all sorts of different things. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and we'll discuss the statement that he said, because then he goes into a diatribe with it. He said, when someone's standing there trying to figure out what tricep exercise they need to do to bring up their lagging triceps, because they feel like their triceps are a weakness, and they come up with all these convoluted different methods and angles and stuff they're trying to work their weak triceps from, but they can't even close grip bench press 400 pounds. He's like, I know what your fucking problem is. The problem is you're weak and you can't close grip 405 pounds. Not the angle that you're hitting your triceps at. Interesting point. Profound statement. And a lot of guys would be like, well, that's insane. Who close grips 405? Well, I used to close grip 405 for reps. Paul close grips 405 for quite a few reps. A lot of big guys do. But the point is, you don't necessarily have to be that big, but he makes a profound point. Everyone always comes up with all these little methods, various flump and pump methods, where they want to work on a weak point in a muscle. And guys, I'm okay with that to some extent. I even give advice on how to do that. When you have one particular head of a muscle that's lagging, there are times when you've got to focus on it very specifically to get it to come up to be in proportion for some purpose, whether it's an aesthetic purpose or an actual sport-specific purpose. There's sometimes you have that one little lagging head. But when you have an entire muscle that's lagging, or several muscles that are lagging, and you're weak on one or two of the basic exercises that works them, the last thing you should be focusing on is, man, maybe I need to try this specific exercise with a cable instead of a dumbbell, or with a dumbbell instead of a barbell to help bring up this lagging point. No, you're just fucking weak. If you fix the weakness, the lagging body part will come up. And I think he went on to say something like, he's like, show me a guy who can bench press 315 pounds for 15 reps, who has a small chest or small triceps, who can do it strict. It's like, show me a guy who deadlifts 500 pounds for 10 to 15 reps. Show me a guy who can do that, and then I want you to find the weak spot in his back, his hamstrings, or his glutes. Show me that he has small traps still. He won't. It's impossible. He's like, show me a guy who can squat 405 for 12 or 15 reps, ass to grass. And I want you to show me the weakness in his legs. Find a weak point in his legs, even if that's the only exercise he does for his quads. Show me a guy who can row 300 plus pounds for 10 or 15 reps, who has weak biceps, small biceps or small lats, or small rear delts, or how about weighted chin-ups? You have a guy who can throw 100 pounds of chains or plates on himself and crank out 5, 10, whatever weighted chin-ups, or can do a weighted chin-up with 200 pounds. Show me which of his pulling muscles is lagging. What sort of curl do you think he really needs at that point? That guy is not going to have small biceps, and he's not going to have small lats. All right, it is physically impossible. Same thing, dudes talk about, oh, I need to work on my delts more. Yeah, you might have a weak point. Maybe your rear delts need some work. But have you worked on overhead pressing 225 for reps yet? Can you do 5 reps of 225? Can you do 10 reps of 225? Well, when you get there, when you get to where you can rep 225 off of your chest on a standing overhead press, odds are you're going to have massive delts by then. Whether or not you choose to isolate a head or a weak point aside you're still going to have massive delts either way. Every time you see a guy who has a weak body part, you almost invariably find he is disproportionately weak on one or two or all of the compound movements in which it's used. They may not consider it a primary mover, but it is. I mean, let's be honest here. We've got studies showing enormous bicep growth from lat pull downs. In fact, for noobs, lat pull downs make your biceps grow faster than curls do. For noob gains, for people doing on the studies in noob gains, they actually make your biceps grow faster than the curls do when you only do one or the other. Bench press makes your triceps grow faster than tricep extensions do when you're a noob. Not saying more advanced lifters don't need to do some extra isolation work, but the basics are what put meat on you. Every single time that you see a guy who complains because his lats are small or his biceps are small, go watch how much weight he can row versus the type of rowing he does, or how much weight he can do on weighted chin-ups. You're going to find something in common there. You know what you're going to find? If he's got really weak or small biceps or small lats, he's going to be weak as fuck on rows and or chin-ups. Every single time. Same thing, you got a guy with no chest. Let's see how much he can bench press or weighted dip for full range of motion. Is he repping out 300 pounds and pausing with it on his chest every time? I guarantee you he's not. He might be doing half reps on the bench press. He might not be coming all the way down. He might be half repping his dumbbells too. Probably isn't strong on weighted dips either. See if he can do at least 20 or more dips with his body weight all the way down. You know what? Probably not. The reason his chest is lagging isn't because the bench press is a bad chest exercise. It's because he doesn't perform the exercises correctly, like all the way through the full range of motion, and or he's weak on those exercises. Everyone wants these complicated, convoluted, fluffy-wuffy solutions to these things. And the truth is, guys, let's just be honest here. And again, I love programming. I like writing advanced programming. But you know the purpose of advanced programming and advanced training methods? To give you a 0.5% advantage in a competitive environment. They shouldn't make enough difference that you're going to notice them in the mirror. Meaning the gains between an amazing, well-structured program and just a good program are small enough they're not going to really matter much in the mirror. They're not going to matter much on the scale because you're talking ounces of muscle difference, not 5 pounds of muscle difference. All right, if you're getting 5 pounds of muscle difference from going from one program to another, you are on a horrifically shitty program to start with. If it makes that much difference in a single year. So you need to understand that I like these things, but the basics are what put size on you. It is impossible if you get strong on any big compound movement to have any small muscle that is involved in it. Think about it. A chin-up requires enormous load on your biceps, an enormous load on your rear delts, an enormous load on your latissimus dorsi. How are you going to possibly get strong on an exercise like that through its full range of motion with a heavy weight without all of those muscles growing tremendously? You can't. It doesn't work that way. That's not how the human body responds. And I don't mean that some guys aren't bigger than others at the same strength. What I'm saying is that for you, you can't double your strength on a big, heavy compound movement without pretty much doubling the size of every single muscle involved in it. And that includes your biceps on a row or a chin-up. That includes your rear delts. On a bench press or a dip, that doesn't just mean the pecs or the triceps. It means they both have to grow. Again, you can't be brutally strong on a closed grip bench press and still have small triceps. The laws of biology don't allow for that. Do you know why? Because a really small tricep with someone generating that much force in an exercise where they're the weak link in the kinetic chain rips that muscle in half. So you're never going to see someone who can physically close grip 405 who has little bitty triceps, because the tricep will actually rip as a result of the tension. All right, muscle thickness is there primarily not just for strength, but it's your body's defense against ripping a muscle in half. That's one of the primary reasons why your body grows and adds muscle from training. The strength gain is a side effect. The reason your body grows a muscle is because the tension you're putting on it would tear it otherwise if you keep doing it. So you show me someone with small triceps who can suddenly magically close grip 405, they will rip that muscle in half or rip it completely off the bone. Again, biologically impossible for someone to be strong enough to consistently come in and do that and have a small muscle that is one of the primary movers. All right, it doesn't work that way. People have convinced themselves it doesn't, that they can get everything they want through just a bunch of small isolation movements because, number one, they're lazy. They don't want to put in the hard work, and that's okay. It's okay to be lazy, just don't pretend like you're not. Be honest with yourself about your work ethic on something. There are things that I don't enjoy doing, that I am lazy at. Like gardening. I hate fucking gardening. Perfect example. But don't pretend like you enjoy lifting weights or you want serious results and lie about it and be lazy about it, because that's what that is. That's just being lazy because you don't really enjoy lifting. That's okay. You don't have to love lifting. Come in and lift just a little bit for your health, but don't pretend that you're serious about it when you know you're just going to come in and do a bunch of fluffy wuffy stuff instead of put in the work, because it's not going to get you anywhere. Just like you don't see me pretending that I want an amazing rose garden out on my balcony. Why? Because I hate doing it and I'm too lazy to do something that I hate doing. So don't lie to yourself like that. It's a cop-out that guys do because they watch a bunch of heavily enhanced bodybuilders who do fluff and pump, who are on grams and grams of gear, who would be just as big almost if they just probably did jumping jacks and push-ups. They do all of that, but for most of you, the isolation stuff is just icing on the cake. It's just there to get a little more growth, bring up a slight change in a weak point, a lagging head of a muscle. It's never going to be your primary mechanism of growth. And it is impossible for a muscle to stay small on any exercise, which it is one of the primary movers in the kinetic chain, and you get brutally strong on. It will correct itself if you get stronger on the exercises involved. Again, show me a guy who can pause bench 315 for 10 to 15 reps who has small pecs or small triceps. In fact, even if the bench press is the only exercise he ever does, for any of those muscles, it is biologically impossible for them to stay small if he's able to do that. Not going to happen. And when he gets to 350 for the same number of reps, they'll be even bigger. Again, basic laws of biology. So Paul Carter nailed it perfectly, and it's a beautiful statement. So I got to give him props for saying that. And the statement pretty much, again, was if you're sitting here trying to figure out which complicated angle you need to work your triceps at because they're lagging to bring them up, and you're coming up with 2 or 3 different isolation movements to do so, but you can't close grip 405 yet, I know what your problem is. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.